Hey there everybody, welcome to this episode of Coffee Table Guitar Tech. Today my victim for the bench is this vintage 1989 Ibanez RG570, which I have owned for years and years. This has been one of my main workhorse guitars for lots of stuff, but I've noticed recently, like doing some tracking and doing some lead stuff, that some of the frets are getting a little weird. This guitar, since I've owned it, I've only ever done one fret dressing on it, and that was in like 1993. So, I mean, pretty much it's flawless. It plays great. There's no divots anywhere, but I've noticed recently that I'm getting some plinkiness on a couple notes here and there. I was trying to do some leads on some stuff the other day. Whatever. Then I ended up getting some... you can hear that through your amp. It's kind of annoying, and it's like this plink, plink, it's like a note that's not quite all the way there. So today I figured it was a good idea to actually show you how to fix this for yourself. A lot of guys would say, oh man, I need to call a guitar tech because this is like really hard and frets are really easy to screw up. Well, in this case, it's not that bad because it's very slightly, we're talking like, a thousandth of a millimeter of like fret height difference than what it needs to be. So this should be a pretty quick and easy thing. And also, if you're an RG owner, I'm going to show you a couple tricks on how to work on one of these guys. The first thing is whenever you need to do a pickup swap or a fret job, at least up until the first fret or whatever, you don't even have to take or detune it, unlock it, nothing. As long as you got an original edge, an low pro edge, or an edge pro, all the ones that have the retainers on the back, that's in the back of the tremolo. Oh yeah, this guitar used to be blue. I sanded the paint off of it like years ago. I got really inspired by Nuno Betancourt with the N4, because it kind of looks like this. But all this is my own relic job from years and years of playing. But anyway, with this retainer bar, you find that these things stay in tune like really well, and you can pop the entire tremolo out of the guitar without even having to detune it. So I'm going to do that right in front of you, right here, right now. Check this out. I usually do this on a workbench, but since I'm here on my couch in my studio, I'm going to show you the quick and dirty way to fix this. So another thing I should probably stress on this whole deal is this is my player guitar. I'm not so overly concerned with the cosmetics of like how neat of a fret job I do on it. I just want it to play good. I'm not going for super shiny. I'm not going for like perfectly rounded, crowned edges. I actually like flat frets. As you can see already, I've already popped the tremolo. All the springs are out of the claw now. This thing is totally loose. I can actually just like pull this thing out, and the whole thing the whole assembly pops out. I didn't even have to touch the tuning machines or unlock it. It's a good trick. You can do this on some other Floyd Roses too, but it's not as common as what you can do on one of these, and it's because of that string retainer, or the spring retainer little bar on the back that's clamped down. It keeps these things from having any slop in them at all. The studs are all locked down. They have a lock through the center of them, so they don't move at all. The nut is all locked down. This thing will probably drop right back in. I mean, this guitar is like from 1989. It's getting up there in age, right? But this thing will drop back in and go pretty much close to dead on in tune when I get done, because it was on the money when I started. Okay, so I'm going to do a little reset here and show you my procedure for doing a quick fret level that's not going to screw up your guitar, and when you take it to your tech, he's not going to yell at you for completely fouling up your frets and not looking like you know it and didn't know what you were doing, okay? Okay, so to pull this off, there's a few tools that you're going to need. You're going to need something relatively flat. I'm using this fret leveling beam that I got off of Amazon. I figured, what the heck, I'll try this. It was like, I had this little kit that was some templates and a little fret rocker and stuff for about 12 or 16 bucks or something like that. I figured that was a good little investment. I usually use the Stuart McDonald fret leveling file, like at work, but what the heck, I'm going to try this. I haven't used this for this job yet, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen. We'll find out together, I guess. Alright, the other thing that I would recommend using is some painter's tape. And this is just to cover up your pickups so that they don't end up with like steel wool stuff all over them, or metal shavings or anything like that. A piece of steel wool is really good to have. Maybe some extra sandpaper. This is a really fine grit on this leveling beam, so I don't think I'm going to have to polish too much when I get done. I've got some metal polish and some other fret files and stuff, but I don't think I'm going to use those. I'm not really that worried about crowning these. They're already pretty crowned as it is right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cover up the edges of my body here. Not that I'm really worried about relicking this thing or doing any damage to it, because it's pretty well, this is an old guitar. I've had this thing for years. I'm not worried about scratching it. I'm not worried about like messing it up. I am my own guitar tech. I have been for years, so this is just part of the fun, I guess. But all right. Ooh, I'm noticing I got a little dent in a fret right there too, so we'll take care of that while we're at it. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but I'm going to show you the whole deal on getting all these things all leveled out. A couple more pieces of painter's tape across the pickups here, just to keep all that crap clean. Otherwise you'll end up with like your pickups will get all fuzzy with steel wool stuff. I was talking about leveling or like crowning files. This thing came in the kit that I got off Amazon. This is like one of the absolute worst fret files I've ever seen in my life. I don't recommend using one of those. That thing is going to tear your crap up before anything. This is a Stuart McDonald, like a diamond grit file. These aren't cheap, but if you find that you need to round off some edges, these do a really good job. Although, with as little as we're going to be taking off here, because I mean we're talking just a minor amount of fret height difference in there, I don't think we're going to have any problem with having to polish too much or to crown off like flat spots or anything like that. Another thing that's pretty handy, and I'm going to show you this just because I want to verify where my bad fret is, or a bad couple of frets. I'm old, I gotta wear glasses. I know it's the 16th fret is too high, or sorry, 13, 14, 15, 16, yeah, 16th fret. And that's also the one that's got the dent in it, so it probably needs some help at some point anyway. These little fret rocker things are pretty cool. What these are good for is you can see like a little warble in there. Like if I got too much of stuff happening with the like one fret is higher than the others, you can rock the little thing across. You can see like there about where the second string and the first string are. That one's pretty bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spot level this whole area all the way from about the 14th fret all the way to the cutaway. And I'm only going to concentrate on the first three strings. I'm not really worried about the other ones because I don't really notice any fretting issues with those. I don't see any problems with the frets, with the strings off of it. So another thing I like to do is take your Sharpie. A Sharpie is a really good thing to have. This isn't necessary, but I just do this for my own kind of checks and balances of this. I'm going to Sharpie off on the top of all of these frets here. Like so. And what this is going to do is it's going to show us where the file or the leveling beam is taken more off than the other areas. And what we want to do is make sure that we get all of them equally. And also we're going to end up getting that little low spot out that's in that fret right there. It's on the 16th fret, but it's about the B string. So that's why that was so plinky. I was wondering about that. I'm going to pick the coarsest side on this leveling beam, which use your fingernail to kind of judge which one's the worst. I think this one's it right here. So we're going to take that guy and just go flat across there and grind away. And you can see it's taking the ink from the Sharpie off of all those frets, but these up higher aren't getting any off of them, so those guys are actually lower than what's up here. But we know that this one's our issue, so I'm going to really concentrate on leveling that dude out. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Those are all pretty well dead level. We got some wear on all of them equally. I'm feeling that's pretty good. I don't really think I need to take more off. I didn't really notice any issues up higher. Okay, now we've got, if you look really close, you can see now that I've got grain that's running with the strings. It's running parallel to the strings. So if you bend, you're going to feel it's all gritty. And we don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some 1500 grit wet dry sandpaper. And I got this little fret template. You can use painter's tape in lieu of this. It doesn't really matter. I've done the tape method like on Les Pauls and stuff like that where you can't get other stuff on it. Let's see. So we're going to go back over where we got all the ink on there. I'm just going to take a little piece, not a bunch. I'm just going to sand it to get the grain marks out of what happened there. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to bump it up a little bit. I'm going to take some 600 grits wet or dry here. This is a cut a little faster, and then we'll go over it with a 1500 after we go through all these. So we're just going to hit those until we see all our flat file marks gone. Or not file, the leveling beam. And then, it really goes pretty quick once you get the hang of it. That needs a little more help, but. And you'll notice, like as you sand these guys, you'll see a line develop in the middle where it's the flat part that's left from the side to side cutting is still there, and the idea is just to get rid of that, just to where it's just gone, not to where it's like totally smoothed over or whatever, because we still got another grit of sandpaper to go. Okay. So really we just want to get all the spots that we hit with the leveling beam more than anything. You can see too, this is like rounding the edges, so that's why I'm not using a crowning file, because I don't really, the sandpaper cuts enough, and I don't really care if they're round on the top. I like flat frets on top anyway. They're a little easier for my playing style, and I feel like I get a little bit better tone out of big wide frets than tall skinny ones. So a little more contact point between the string and the neck there. Okay, so this guy is like really down. You can see we took a ton off of that dude. And if you find one where maybe it's not cutting fast enough for you, you can go back to, let's say, like I have an extra stash of sandpaper over here, so I'll take some 400 just to get down past this extra sanding spot here from the leveling beam. With a sanding, or with a regular file, I usually start with 400 for my starting sanding paper anyway, so this is really a big deal. I'm just going to use that for the rest of the way to make sure I get all these others out. And really that one I didn't even hit, so I'm just like kind of going over it just real fast just to get the ink off. So it'll kind of re-level it that way. Still got a little dent in there from my, that I noticed earlier. As you can see, this fret template is a little bit too wide for those frets, so fortunately for me, I've got some more here somewhere. I had some more here somewhere. Where'd they go? Oh well, whatever, who cares? I don't need all that crap anyway. Alright. So just buzz through that stuff real quick like. I want to get really nitpicky about that little dent that I had in the fret. I'm going to get to that in a second. Because I apparently didn't go low enough with that, with the leveling beam. But I don't really want to take a bunch off of these other frets because I really didn't have too much to deal with anyway. So like right there, I've got a little tiny little divot. Just to make sure it's like smooth. Not too worried about it being gone. I'm not that nitpicky, and I don't feel it. I didn't notice it before, so I'm not going to notice it now either. Alright, so those are pretty good there. So that's with the 400 grit. Then we go back over it with the 6 just to smooth it out a little bit more. I'm going to go back one higher. That one still got a little spot on it there that I noticed now. Alright. That was pretty good. And you'll notice they get a little shinier with each pass that you did. Let's hit that one a little bit more with the 400. Alright. Okay. I'm just going to blaze through these from here on out because we've got most of the marks out with the 400 grit. This is just to smooth it and take the 400 grit marks out, and then you bump up to like the 1500 at the end to get rid of all the other marks that you have in there. So let's see, get close. And really, I mean, if you're not a lead guy and you're not going to do like crazy bends where you got a lot of vibrato happening and crap like that, then really you don't even have to sand these things. If you, let's say like on an acoustic guitar and you're just a strummer and you're in a pinch and you need to make things work fast, you really don't even have to worry about this crap, because if you're not bending the string, you're never going to notice the graininess of the frets anyway. Alright, now that we got that done, we're going to go back with the fret rocker and see what we got on those two that we knew were high before. Wow, it's like so much better. It's still got just a tad there where the high E is, but the B string is great. I doubt I would even feel that though, because it's so minimal. Oh, right there on the edge, that just needs just a hair more taken off of it. Yeah, you can see it right there. Okay, so now we just dress the ends of these real quick and we're good. So go back to the 4 just to knock that out real fast. This is something too, it's not an immediate thing, you don't always get it right the first round, you gotta keep working at it. Sometimes I go over an area of the neck like 4 or 5 times to really nail it down. I'm not a click machine, so you know, I do it by hand and it takes a little longer, but I think you get a little bit more detail that way when you do it that way. Alright, that dude's on now. That's dead flat, no problems. Okay, so I'm going to quick buzz off those ends with the 1600, or sorry, the 600. We're going to hit the 1500 again, all the way over all those guys, and then the last one is going to be our steel wool, and that's going to give it kind of its sheen. Now if I was doing this whole thing, I would probably go through it with some of this like Flitz metal polish. This stuff is awesome on frets, but I'm not worrying about the rest of them, so I don't really want these to be like overly polished and shiny compared to the other ones. It's, again, it's a player, it's not a... I'm not going for like pristine shininess and cosmetic quality on this. I'm just going for a guitar that rocks and plays the right notes and doesn't go when I hit a fret that's not fretting all the way, you know what I mean? Okay. Alright, so that's our 600. So a quick pass with the 1500 grit. I'm going to take a little bit bigger piece of that guy though. Alright, so I'm going to hit that. You'll see it gets a little hazier. And I'm just going to go across all these guys all the way. And if you have finer grit sandpaper, you can go as crazy as you want with it, but just I've found, like, in some cases, like 600 is enough, but since I'm a bendy person, I like for smooth bends and no grittiness, so I go crazy with it. Especially on these Ibanez guitars, I love to make sure they play really great. And I own a lot of them, so, you know. we are about there. We've got nice shiny looking frets, even though they're not totally shined out yet. But, alright. So I think we're done with all that stuff. Our next step is going to be to hit it with steel wool. And the steel wool will take it down even just a microscopic bit more, and it'll kind of polish it up a little bit. Makes the fretboard look killer. But this is also why we tape up the pickups, because steel wool is steel and it's highly magnetic, and the little shards from it get all over the place, especially the new stuff that they make these days. The old oily kind was actually great and you didn't have to worry about taping crap up, but this stuff's a little rougher. Alright, now if you look at that, that is a pretty good, smooth looking fret job there. So, you know, for a spot level, this wasn't like an intensive like fret dressing, but so now the thing I like to do on these is just kind of peel this back, roll it into itself so that you don't get any of that crap on the pickups. Also kind of cleans it off as you go. If you got any debris, you can also pick it up with the tape. This guitar is all dirty and dusty anyway, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there's the fret part. Now we're going to drop the tremolo back in the studio, and I think I just bumped a fine tuner, but hopefully it wasn't too far. Alright, so the fun of this is you just drop the springs down through there, line her back up. Thing almost snaps in place on its own. What I usually do, I hold the bar really tight there. Okay, so I got one spring on so far. Number 2, number 3. I'm putting pressure on the tremolo bar with my knee, so it's almost dead on. I think that's the one I bumped. Close enough for rock and roll, right? Okay, now the question is, did it work? Did we just fix the problem we had, right? I think it's gone. I think that pretty much nailed the problem. So, that is the quick and easy way to not have to call your guitar tech and take your guitar in for an appointment to do a spot level on a high fret. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.